You're about to listen to a brand new Cenmass radio show. By doing this, you show that you either have good taste, high level of intelligence, or you're just plain bored. I'm Rod Williams, and this is Cenmass, brought to you by U.S. Tactical and Sporting Arms at 2135 West Whitendale Boulevard in Visalia, California. Call us at 734-ARMS, that's 559-734-2767. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. When we reach 1,000 subscribers, someone's going to win a free Glock 17, and it might as well be you. Look, 1 in 1,000 is pretty good odds for a free Glock 17, so subscribe to the channel. I'm glad you're smart enough to tune into the real media, not the fake propaganda media that we all know is not real. Just Google anything like, oh, how's Trump done so far, or anything conservative or libertarian, and you'll see that Google is all set up for the opposing view to come up on the screen, but you're not going to get any of the stuff that you're going to get here or on other real news outlets. I'm not saying that I'm always right, because I make mistakes too, and it's up to you. You want to fact check me, fact check me. I may not always be right. I do the best I can with the information I can assimilate, because I've got to deal with the fake media myself. Just look on any of the news networks, Fox included, and you'll get nothing but a skewed view. When I say Fox included, they're more conservative, but they all have their own agenda. In fact, they were the first ones to make no secret about they had an agenda. At least they were honest about it before. Now, the left media, CNN, NBC, all the alphabet medias are coming out, and they're starting to take off the gloves and realize that they're just out to discredit the president and anyone that's conservative or libertarian, and they're making no bones about it. The overeducated, uber-liberal Democrats get it more and more wrong all the time, and it's up to us to disseminate what's right and what's wrong, and true and not true. I'm looking at this article from Breitbart right here. This is Dan Riel, R-I-E-H-L, and it's Matt Philbin, Media Research Center, managing culture editor, joined Breitbart Daily News host Alex Marlow on Monday, discussed a media bias, calling the notion of media somehow being silenced a load of hooey. The media is whining and complaining, oh, President Trump's not letting us ask the proper questions. When Obama was in office, it was a big mutual rear-end smooching contest between him and the media, and there was no disrespect. And now that Trump's in office, when the reporters deal with him, you can hear the snide, snarky attitude in their voices, and he's just not going to put up with it. And I'm proud of him for that. That's why he got elected president, because he's willing to challenge these guys. So they're complaining now that he's not talking to him or maybe taking questions from him. And I think it's just great. I think that if the sources, if the media is not going to treat him with respect, then why should he treat them with any respect? And I'm proud of the guy for standing up to it. Fake news brought this on themselves. They don't want to show any respect. And Trump don't want to take the Bush approach like the Bushes did, where they just kind of acted like they were above it all and it would all go away and let the media take shots. Trump's a fighter, and he's a scrapper, much like moi, and he's not going to just take it laying down. So I think that's something we all have to get used to, is that that's what's going to happen. And I think we should pat the guy in the back and be proud of him for it. I got another article here, and this is a fake news guide to mainstream media, fake news, war propaganda. This is Government Fake News Week is this website, and you should check them out. In response to establishment media's contrived fake news crisis designed to marginalize independent and alternative media sources of news and analysis, these guys came out with this. So this Patrick Henningsen, as mainstream media puts it, as mainstream media pundits, government officials, and Silicon Valley technocrats continue the alarmist crusade over the perceived scourge of fake news circulating on social media, their misplaced obsession belies the fact that government media complex has long been waging war on its own private disinformation war against global public propaganda news, as it's called. As establishment continues its attempt to discredit alternative sources of information through its fake news or faux crisis, it's clear that some corporate media moguls would like to turn back the clock back to the days when a handful of powerful institutions, like Randolph Hearst, when they, that you've heard of Hearst Castle, that was the guy that owned all the newspapers, and it was a monopoly. And when they enjoyed a complete monopoly, they could propagandize and brainwash everybody into believing whatever they wanted. By channeling public opinion, the establishment has been able to facilitate a number of engineered outcomes, including wars, over the years. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to point out a few things that the fake news has done that's cost thousands of lives. It's not harmless in any way. More than ever, it's important to highlight how many decades some of these news organizations, including the most respected brands of Western mainstream media, have been driving force behind some of the most deceptive reporting and militaristic propaganda campaigns. It's not just Red China and Russia. It's right here in America. But we've got an outsider president now that's not willing to put up with it, and I think it's a pretty good thing. Undoubtedly, many who work in media will not see it, but history speaks for itself. So it goes all the way back. Let's say 1898, you had the terrible incident. They followed the USS Maine, one of the flagship naval vessels that was sank in Havana Harbor, and hence started the Spanish-American War, where we ended up with control of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines, but not so much Cuba. Then the next one was the Gulf of Tonkin deception, where the media made what turned out to be an unidentified cause for a fire on a U.S. Navy patrol ran into bad weather off the coast of Vietnam, and a U.S. agent or official of the CIA, NSA, or Pentagon national security structure falsely reports that the U.S. Navy vessel was under attack by North Vietnamese patrol boats in international waters off the Gulf of Tonkin. The next day, President Johnson appeared on national television to announce the intent to retaliate against North Vietnamese, and hence starts the Vietnam War, which was a 10-year-long bloody conflict where 55,000 American soldiers were killed and over 250,000 were maimed or injured. I mean, this stuff's no joke. The fake news is costly. The global elitist tool of the fake news has been costly over time. So they're going to whine and cry about social media and about Donald Trump calling them out in a press conference when over the years they've cost thousands of lives in wars. The first Gulf War, where were all the weapons of mass destruction that Hussein supposedly had? They never did show up. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm not pretty conservative, and I wasn't necessarily. But when you get lied to, you might find yourself rooting for something that should have never happened. The Kosovo genocide and Rwanda, and that got all pumped up. After the Rwanda massacres in '94, the genocide alarm went out, and that started to be the flavor of the day. 98, 99, Europe and NATO backed Kosovo Libertarian Army, KLA, rebel fighters from Kosovo region of Yugoslavia in a proxy war against military forces of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. No one in our country knew who was right or wrong in any of these things, much like Serbia and some of the others. But the fake media will manipulate the story until you get put right in the spot you need to be in, and it's not necessarily true. So we really need to start watching out for the fake news. It just goes on and on. I could go all day on it, but I don't want to go too long because I know I'll bore you, and I want you to pay attention to this stuff and wise up to the fake news and that the fact that you're not getting the truth, and the fact that when Trump has a pissing match with these guys, there's a good reason for it, because they're not telling the truth and they've been getting away with it for way too long. The mainstream media sort of dug their own graves with this fake news. They decided that they were threatened by all this YouTube stuff and all this social media, Facebook, and it got Trump elected. So they're just dying to. So they coined the term fake news, and everybody turned it around on them. The natural news, which was what they were normally called, was, they had their anointed one, Hillary Clinton, that was supposed to win. And they were going to do everything they could to skew public opinion, but they got seen through. So to launch a war on their competition, the mainstream media employed their standard soundbite strategy, talking points and fake news, and to move the audience toward whatever kind of ends they wanted them to go. But the problem is that the new fake news spewed all over itself. Everybody else's news became fake news, but the mainstream's own exaggerated, highly spun stories ran day after day, and it was just supposed to be the bedrock of reality, but everyone's seeing through it now. So that's the end of them. Look, man, they don't care if it's the truth. They don't care if you're giving the truth. And I'll be honest with you, half the people out here don't care if they're hearing the truth. Most people just want to hear what they want to hear. Oh, I'm a liberal. I like Hillary. I want to hear how great Hillary is, and I want to hear how bad Trump is. So if they feed that narrative, they tell you what you want to hear, you listen to it. If you're conservative or libertarian, you listen to some guy like me. But the point I'm making is this bunch of elitists, these guys that lived in their ivory towers making these fake news with the mainstream media, the cat is out of the bag now. They're known for the phonies that they are. It's common knowledge now, even those people that want to hear what they have to say, knowing it's not true, can no longer argue that they have their own agenda. No one's even making any bones about it now. Fox News is the first ones to do it, like I said. They just came right out and said, we're the conservative channel. Now the liberals finally have to admit we're the liberal global elitist channel. So do yourselves a favor. Don't just assimilate information because you've seen it on an alphabet news channel somewhere. Take advantage of the great tool we have, the internet. Get all the information you can and assimilate it and then sort it out and make your own decisions. Think for yourselves a little bit. Use social media. You don't have to believe everything you hear, but you definitely know not to believe the mainstream media. I'll tell you what, if you want to know why Trump's always having a pissing match with the media, it's because the cat's out of the bag and the jig's up. Now stay tuned for our next video, because I'm going to go into what Trump has done in his first month or so that he's been in office, because you won't hear it on the media. All you'll hear is the Russian hacking story or whatever distraction they have for that moment. But on my next video, I'm going to go into the good things that he's done already in the 30 days he's been in office. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Win that free Glock. It's worth it, man. It's a 1 in 1,000 chance of winning it. And check out our website that you can find a lot of my old radio podcasts and other stuff I've done on cenmass.com. That's CENMASS.com. Thanks a lot. Subscribe.